Hey y'all, I'm back with another thought that I was just having. I hope all is well with you guys. Anyone who's watching, make sure you like the video, thumbs up this video so that it is able to circulate so other people who are meant to see this can see it, and support the channel as much as possible. I definitely would appreciate that. I'm just right now sitting in the middle of doing my marketing notes for my marketing class. And as I was writing, I was thinking about it's been a lot of thoughts on my mind lately about relationships and what's fair, what's not fair. The derivatives of trauma that we subject our partnerships to, and how we can heal that within ourselves to make the relationship better. And I was thinking about how in my religious upbringing, how I was thinking about job, okay, because I'm in college for business, right? And I took this coursework before when I was 20, my early 20s, but working full time, being a full time mother for the first time, and then trying to get myself out of the hump was a lot. So I definitely stopped going online. So it just seemed like it was enough, and I felt too much, and I felt like I couldn't handle it, and I wanted something else. But circling back to the present, um, I used to work for a very important telecommunications firm when I was like 18, 19 years old. And I didn't like the job, but I liked the money that I had from the job. So I had a huge torn about me, and I felt like it was just a reflection of other parts of myself that was actually torn at that time as well. That was hard to define because I didn't have the capacity and the awareness. So anytime I thought about doing something different, it was always this concern that being a witness, it's like you can't really commit to anything because you don't want to get swept away being connected or committed to something that could possibly bring you down or be your downfall. And that type of fear mentality, how it kind of settled for that 11 years, it really settled into my mind that, being non-committal and being able to freely get away, being able to freely step away from things that is supposed to serve a purpose, but doesn't necessarily mean that I'm deeply cemented with. And we got a full moon Scorpio coming. So a lot of our eighth house things really have to do with loyalty. What's the glue that's holding you together, and the power of whatever you're being glued to being possibly broken, and how that can make you feel, or a threat to that being broken, how it can make you feel and how you react. Are you going to be trusting of that partnership and allowing it to go through its transformation? Or are you going to completely just break yourself free from the connection in order to seemingly save yourself, even though some of it might just be delusional because we still got Pisces energy at play here with the North Node. So, and then Jupiter squaring that Pisces energy as well. So some of the stuff that we have in our minds are not actually true. It can be true for certain circumstances, but it might necessarily be true for you. If you are readily involved in the creation of your reality, you got to pay attention and know. So when I was younger, working that job, I did have firm boundaries between allowing myself to be completely swept up in a job or not. But as time goes on, that mentality, which is supposed to be, religious training, mental training, perceptive power is being trained, which is really training your intuition and your subconscious mind to never commit to anything because you need to be able to break free. And I'm an aqua moon, okay? Square my Pluto and Scorpio as well. I have moon square Pluto. So yeah, I had the full upbringing of my parents, with spiritual discipline, physical discipline. I really did have the best of both worlds when it came to my parents. It's just that nurturing factor was missing. My nurturing came from being around multiple people, whether it was my great aunties, my cousins looking after us. Like, I was raised by a community of people, not just one or two persons, like a whole community. I was always surrounded by people. And to still be surrounded by people while feeling alone is a different level of mental anguish. Okay. And it's like, if I can never commit myself to something completely, give myself into something completely, glue myself to something, even if it is a partnership or a career or something that is of value, I will never see the reaping of said values of me and that other thing or that other person, because I'm always in a mental, if I'm always in a mental state of I can't complete. I keep seeing 144 too. I can't completely commit to something because push come to shove, if I have to get out, I should be able to walk away. And 555, that has been my mentality on a lot of things. Just looking back right now, out of fear of losing out on something bigger. And at the time, with the religious teaching and indoctrination, it was more like you don't want to miss out on living life in a paradise, um, by way of the most. My bad. You don't want to miss out on um, a relationship with the Most High because you chose to be in an unyoked relationship, or you chose to put your job or career over going to the Kingdom Hall, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And I feel like it really kind of, when you young, it kind of glosses over to everything. Like when you're learning certain things, when you're being indoctrinated with certain belief systems, you use that belief system across all the board, because it's like how you do one thing is how you do all things. Like that's kind of like where I'm coming from when I say that. So if how I do one thing is to not commit because God might call me to do something and I need to break away or be free to go do it, that's one thing. But to never committing to something, never following through and sticking with it, no matter what, that's the FOMO. The FOMO is that, this full moon Scorpio with Lilith and Scorpio as well. You can have all the freedom in the world and the power to choose how you want your life to be. But opposing that with Taurus, Sun in Uranus, which Uranus Taurus is debilitated just like the moon, and Scorpio is debilitated. So it's like, yeah, you and this other thing or this person may not be perfect, but you could still choose each other. You could still choose to weather the storm. You could still choose to stay committed, to still stay glued to each other in some form or fashion, because it's your choice. You have a choice. South Node Virgo, you always have choices that you can make when it comes to your reality that will change things. Life is a constant state of change. And it can be change that you dream of, Pisces, where you are one with the, highest, most high frequency God, whatever you want to call it. Or or you can make changes to try to keep your life the same, but then you never really grow. South Node Virgo. And when it comes to relationship, I feel like I'm at a point where it's like this full moon is helping me to see and realize a lot of anger, a lot of pain, a lot of anguish, a lot of hurt, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of dark negative emotions stem, yes, from the past because it's memories, water. However, it's like those scary moments popping up in my life is a demonstration of like, yes, I'm still human. Yes, memory, water is still going to serve me to my highest purpose. But it's like I get to see and address the pain that I hide very well. I got to see myself in real time turn off my emotions when I really didn't want to. And that kind of spooked me and woke me up as well, because it's like, how am I doing this right now? And it's because it's a habit. It's something I've always done. And it's like, okay, well, when's the first time that I did something like that? And it's like, probably been plenty of times where I was in a situation where I didn't know what to feel or how to feel about something because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I just chose to just, not feel anything. Because even though physically I was involved, physically it's happening and I'm seeing it. Emotionally, I just kind of voided myself out and escaped into my ego, which is not a part of my soul. It's only here to be as a shield and a weapon to keep me safe and protected with my soul journey. So I will never kill my ego. I will just allow it to go through its transformation. Okay. But things have happened to me in my life where it was like I kind of disassociated from the events and chose not to feel anything on top of that. But I still have the thoughts because I still have the memories. I still have the scenario. Okay. Thoughts and communication, relationships is all air, but air is a derivative of water. Still light water, yes, but still water no less. And I think that especially with, the Saturn ruled, but Aquarian and even Gemini Libra energy as well, but definitely Aquarian energy where it's like the reputation of being detached, remote, unemotional, and it's like that's not even true. It's like the ability to feel all the emotions in the world all the time from different people, from many people, as a groups of people even at once for a moon Aquarian. But it's like you have the ability to tap in to so much wisdom and knowledge that comes from understanding emotion. And that's totally different from actually feeling the water when you're in it. Because I can know this is water. I know what water does. I know the molecule, that is required to produce or create the water itself. I know what I can do with water. I know what good things and bad things of water, but it's totally different when you're touching and in the water itself, when you're being consumed by water. And sometimes when we get consumed, for me speaking, definitely, when I feel like I'm being too consumed by water or emotion, there is a sense of anxiety and panic that can set in. And learning how to swim, which is something I really want all of my children to know how to do, is learn how to swim, learn how to navigate your emotions so that they don't navigate you. And that's kind of like what I feel this full moon Scorpio with Lilith in the opposition with the sun and Uranus together, which is like an epiphany of like realizing something and still at the same time being able to balance being true to yourself, even that self that has the shame, the guilt, the pain. You could still have that pain and still vibrate out of that reality. I feel like Boo just really snapped. It wasn't, excuse me, man. And it wasn't even like I wasn't being yelled at. I wasn't being, harmed in any way, shape, or form. It was really like, wake up. That's kind of like what I got from the gesture was wake up. And it wasn't like I was aware. I was not aware of what was going on. I was completely aware of what's going on. I knew what time I had to go do something. I knew what I was doing. But it was still like, wake up. Wake up. That was the sun Uranus. And though the literal words were not wake up, he said something totally different. But the feeling I got from his words was wake up. And it was like, pause. What are we focusing on right now? What are we doing right now? Not physically, because I know what I'm doing physically. Like I'm double Leo, very much consciously aware. But that square with my Aquarius moon and Pluto energy is like beneath the surface in the quiet when all things go, when everyone goes away and you're just alone and by yourself. Wake up. Wake up. That part of you, that soul part of you is asking you to wake up, and your twin just said it to your face. Because they see you're not awake. You're in perfunctory Virgo. You're in routine. But that Pisces rising just spoke to me very loudly, like, wake up. Wake up. And it hurt my feelings because, sense of pride and ego, Leo. But it was like, no, like, for real, wake up, boo. We've been in this routine of like work, school, motherhood, clean, like work, motherhood, schoolwork, clean, work, motherhood, schoolwork, clean. And it's like, okay. Let's ascend beyond that, because we haven't taken the time to ascend above that, because we've been trying to get into this realm of reality so we can balance home and work and find, success. Like, we're not just here just to be spiritually aware of ourselves and we only bask in that. Like, they're spiritual and physical, they work hand in hand. You can't just live in the realm of, I'm spiritual, so I don't have to do. No, you still have to put in action, you still have to put in work, because you're still manifesting your reality. Now, when you have mastered knowing, that your spiritual routine is important, then you start to practice your spiritual routine being important. And I say master knowing and practice routinely, because you can't master a routine. The Virgo energy, the sixth house, is always changing day to day. Your day to day could be very, very different, but you still have to practice, no matter how small, how big, whatever you want to paint it as, you still have to practice. And it's the same thing for the physical reality. You have to master knowing yourself, which comes from the spiritual work, right? You master knowing your spiritual self. You master working towards that, and then you practice so it can expand, Jupiter expand and grow. And then you have Saturn on the other side, which this is a 38 month. And then you have Saturn on the other side and saying, okay, you need to master your reality, which is Saturn Aquarius is about knowing yourself, but understanding how reality works from the spiritual realm to the physical realm. So now that we understand the spiritual realm, we can work on the physical realm, the material plane, right? And so we are mastering the material world by practicing knowing that the spiritual work will show up materially. Now you come up with a plan of action in the material world. You take steps in the material world, logical steps in the material world, and the spiritual work you do will fill in the gaps. It connects those moments. So when you have, like, these moments where you're like, okay, I have an idea, and then you got the full card where you're about to jump off the cliff, that's you taking the physical action, Aries, right? You're taking the physical action with your identity, knowing who you are, to master your reality by taking the practical step. And then when you walk off that cliff, your spiritual practices, your spiritual awareness, your spiritual work is going to fill in that gap, so you're not falling down and hurting yourself on this cliff. You're actually being carried and lifted off into the other side of the cliff or whatever that you just walked off of. And like in the Matrix, it's like, free your mind and just jump, just go. Okay, just take that action. That's what Chiron and Aries is helping us to do, just to go and take that action. As we are, and Chiron is always healing, but his wife is the healer, where you don't have to re-heal. You know what I'm saying? Once you heal, it's healed, you can move on. But the Chiron is like, you're always healing that. So now we feel like we're constantly healing our ego. We're constantly healing how we see ourselves. We're constantly healing how we relate to other people and how we project our personality. And at the same time, you know, this is all new. We've never experienced a Neptune in Pisces or Aquarius. I mean, Aries. We never experienced, Uranus and Gemini in our generation, this younger generation at least. And it's a lot of things that are coming around that haven't been here for 50, 100, 200 years or more that we're all experiencing. And then having these alignments haven't been experienced before either, and we don't know how long. So we're experiencing a lot of newness, and why this full moon Scorpio is so important with Lilith is that you can still experience all the dark emotion, all the sadness, the grief. You can still grieve. Five of Cups, you can still grieve. Six of Cups, you can still feel some type of happiness with the nostalgia, memories from the past. And then Seven of Cups as well. And then you can choose, you can make a choice with your intuition, deep, dark intuition, to say, I'm going to still move forward. I'm going to choose this cup and we're going to move forward. Eight of Cups, I leave everything behind. Saturn, Pisces. That is no longer serving me. It filled my cup in the past, but it no longer fills my cup. And I feel like what used to fill my cup is, being involved in situations where I don't have to completely commit. That did fill my cup up, even though I wanted more. I want my 10 of Cups. You know what I'm saying? I want my 10 of Cups. Of course I do. But, being raised to have that belief system that, being non-committal is okay when it's in the name of God. And it's like God or that divine power isn't male, isn't just female. It's both. So there has to be glue. There has to be commitment. There has to be loyalty. There has to be that connectedness that cannot be broken. And you have to trust that it's always on, it's always glued, it's always loyal to you. And when you've had as much betrayal and, familial circumstances as I have, which is like your first dealing with relationships, it's a challenge. All Leos face that challenge of, that fourth house Scorpio, Leo risings, face that challenge of like, being betrayed by your family first, and then trying to find that trust and loyalty in others is very shaky ground. It's not easy. When you do something to a cat, that cat fucking remembers. No matter how long ago it was, no matter how, much they've moved on and had glossy hair since then, it's still in its reflexes, muscle memory. And that's been one of my things too with Pluto Aquarius traveling through my sixth house right now, is to work on my nervous system. The nervous system. Okay, my nerves. And Uranus represents the higher mind, while Mercury represents the lower mind. Okay, the nervous system, yes. But you can override. You can override your reality. You can override the muscle memory or the nostalgia, the water memories in your body, by practicing using your higher mind to direct the energy where you want it to go. And this again comes with practice. Once you master knowing certain things, you have to continue to practice. You can't get lazy or do perfunctory shit without your intention being given to it. So that's all I really wanted to get into, is that thought of like, man, I was working this job, and every time I thought about doing something different, it's like, well, you can't do that, because if you commit to it and this happened, you're gonna have to let it go. So don't commit. And it's like, but I want to commit. I want to commit to a career and see it take off once. But I know that now what I'm working on is very important, and this is my thing. It is my gift, not gift, but I want to say it's my vocation and my occupation for being here on this earth and reconnecting with nature as well. And it is tie that I'm choosing to give to humanity as well as my higher power. Like, this is super, genius. And it's taking literally one step at a time. And Taurus is very slow, patient, steady. And patience is not about waiting. Patience is waiting with a good attitude and maintaining that good attitude when you got the chaos of Scorpio opposing you. It's just like, man, like, I'm trying my hardest, I'm trying my best to get this done, but it's like so many different negative emotions just coming up and popping up. It's making it difficult for me to see through, you know, the trees in the forest where I'm trying to get to. And it's like, but you only got to take one little step, just one little step. You can do one little step. You can do one little step. You can do one little step. Okay. You can do it. Thank you. Okay, here. You can do it. You can do that one little step. Okay. So, and I'm preparing for Taurus to enter my 10th house. So I know like the pressure is on me, but I'm the one that's putting the pressure on me to perform, no one else. But I also see this relationship wise where it's like I'm putting pressure on myself to be perfect. Virgo stellium with the South Node Virgo. I'm putting pressure on myself to be perfect because I see you needing this type of a person to support you and be there for you and love you and strengthen you and comfort you and have fun with you. Like, that's how I see myself. Like, I look at my person and see like this the type of person you deserve to have. And I want to be that person you deserve to have in your life because you deserve it. Right? But I'm still human. I still make mistakes. I'm not perfect by any means. And neither is my person. Very far from perfect. I don't mean it like that, but still human. Still having to practice putting one foot in front of the other in the material plane and practicing the spiritual side as well. So it's like, even though I want to commit, even though we're ready for a commitment to unlock some unknown gifts we never tapped into before because we've always had some type of blockage, whether it was us wanting this commitment to another person, but something got in the way of that. It's like now we don't have anything in the way of our commitment except for us and the thoughts we have. So I'm intentionally choosing to override my fears, my guilt, my shame of what I think not being good enough for the person that I made up in my own head. Not matching that, high, lofty goal of essentially the illusion of perfectionism. Like, I'm letting that go and choosing to say, hey, you deserve me. You don't deserve the illusion of what I think who you should be with. You deserve me. I am the illusion. I am the person, the comforter, the nurturer, the loving, the cheerful, the supportive, the giving and receiver. Heavy on the receiving end, okay? Check the material. But I am that person. I'm not going to idealize who I think my partner should be with because that person could be filled in from any spirit, any soul, right? I'm setting myself up for failure with that type of mentality. So instead, I'm going to say, I'm going to believe, I'm going to cement, and I'm going to intentionally live my life and say, hey, you are a great person and you deserve me, another great person. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It don't have to be you deserve this. No, you just deserve me. And I deserve you. We deserve each other. We're beautiful, cosmically aligned people, and we deserve each other because we literally have the same values and morals. And Venus is all about relationships, values, and morals. Everything else can be worked out. So if there's something that you want to commit yourself to and you're having issues with that commitment of seeing it through, go through the transformation, go through feeling the negative feelings, go through saying the negative feelings, get it out, no matter how ugly it may appear to be, because full moon Scorpio energy can be very ugly when it presents things to you, because it's coming from a deep dark place where people are scared to go. You might be scared to admit something to yourself, or you might be scared to see something about yourself that someone close to you may be able to see very well. And your first reaction might be to deny it. Taurus is very stubborn. It doesn't like to be corrected on its path because it's so used to just one step in front of the other consistently that when it has to maneuver, it can be very challenging to do so. But Scorpio water is persistent. It's going to keep coming until you release it. Release all of it. Because trust me, it's more coming. But just release the parts, the things that need to be released right now. Just be in the now. Be present with yourself. And forgive yourself. Because that's really what it's all about, forgiving yourself. We're not going to always be... It's not always going to be... It has to storm and rain just as much as it has to sunshine. Like, it's just nature. Okay, it's nature. All right. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, thank you again. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Peace. Back to homework.
And I see it's gone to some astrology. Well, baby, I can see you.